We all know the Nets are god-awful, so it was only a matter of time before Joe Johnson was bought out. That day is here. Of course, what follows is plenty of reports. We heard OKC is a possible destination, the Clippers, even Atlanta. But it was two teams that emerged as front runners. We knew one that would be there. That's the Cleveland Cavaliers, who tried to acquire him in the offseason, and also the Miami Heat. So common sense would tell you, oh yeah, he's going to join the Cavaliers. They have the better shot at winning an NBA title. But no, Joe Johnson chose playing time and a bigger role over a better shot at winning an NBA title. Reports say he will join the Miami Heat. And as someone who is highly competitive himself, I can't knock Joe Johnson for wanting to have a bigger impact over just riding a wave. Welcome back to the Best Damn Sports Blog. Back again to talk NBA with you guys, specifically Joe Johnson. We all know this is buyout season. We seen Andy Varejao get bought out by Portland and head to the Warriors. Yeah, backstab to the Cavaliers and their fans, but I salute Andy on that. Way to put it to them. Now it looks as if Joe Johnson is headed to the Miami Heat. All reports say so, and according to ESPN's Chris Broussard, he believes that he will have a bigger role and see more meaningful minutes, and that is the reason he has chosen Miami over Cleveland. And I believe all of that to be factual. In Cleveland, he will be a bench player. He might see crunch time minutes because he is a clutch shooter, but he would probably see less than 25 minutes per game. Whereas in Miami, he will have a much more defined role. We can't forget about the unfortunate situation that Chris Bosh is in. There are reports out there that the Miami Heat and doctors are telling him to sit out the rest of the season. They fear the calf injury he went out with could actually be another blood clot. And that would be career-threatening as well if that is indeed a blood clot injury that Chris Bosh is dealing with right now, as well as life-threatening. Blood clots are serious. So F basketball when it comes to that. I just wish him good health. And with that said, if Chris Bosh is indeed out for the rest of the season, well then Joe Johnson is primed to be right in the starting lineup for the Heat. And they are in the Eastern Conference hunt. And with the addition of Joe Johnson, now you can push Luol Deng up to the 4, plug Joe at the 3, Dragic at the 1, Wade at the 2, Whiteside off the bench, Amari at the 1. Even without Chris Bosh, that's a solid starting 5. Maybe still a top 10 in the NBA. And if Chris Bosh can come back, well now the Eastern Conference playoffs actually have a little bit of intrigue, because I don't think the Cavaliers will walk through the Miami Heat with the Chris Bosh, with the Joe Johnson, along with the cast of players they already have. I think that would be a tough series for LeBron and company. But based on reports, it doesn't look like Chris Bosh will be back in a Miami Heat uniform this season. So what does the Joe Johnson move mean if that is the case? It's still a great pickup for Miami. Great. If you just watch a Heat game, it won't take you long to notice their biggest weakness is shooting the 3-ball by far. They don't have a consistent three-point shooter on their roster. And although Joe Johnson is not a great three-point shooter, he's been a good and consistent three-point shooter for his whole entire NBA career. He shoots 37% from 3 this season. And I'm going to get a little nerdy on you. Since the turn of the new year, from the left corner 3, Joe Johnson is shooting 53%. From the right corner 3, he is shooting 66% since the turn of the new year. And from straight away, he is shooting 43% since the turn of the new year. Those are some gaudy percentages. Yes, they're a small sample size, but gaudy. And the Miami Heat will eat it up in a heartbeat, and they will embrace it, and it will actually make them a much better team come playoffs. Even if Chris Bosh isn't back, I think they are better than Toronto if Joe Johnson can play up to his abilities. He is not the Joe Johnson from Atlanta. He's only averaging 12, 4, and 4 so far with Brooklyn this season. But if you put some more talented players around him and add the fact that he will actually be playing for something as well as into the playoffs, I think Miami will see a much more productive Joe Johnson than what Brooklyn got this season. And he even hit a clutch shot for Brooklyn, so Joe Johnson still is clutch. And Miami will definitely need a clutch shooter down the stretch, especially in their stretch run in the playoffs. That's definitely a guarantee. Chris Bosh was probably their best three-point shooter. And if he's out, they had to replace him with someone, and why not Joe Johnson? They can move Luol Deng up to the 4, and they can still have a potent lineup. Dragic, Wade, Joe Johnson, Luol Deng, Hassan Whiteside. That's a pretty mean crunch time lineup. Other than Cleveland, I'll take that 5 over any other team in the East. Best 5. Miami has the second best crunch time lineup to me in the Eastern Conference. They will be scary come playoffs. But at the end of the day, Cleveland, full strength. They're the better team. But Joe Johnson, this is a good pickup for the Heat. Gives their fans something to cheer about. Brings some life into their franchise following the bad news with Chris Bosh and it looking like their season was about to go down the drain. This gives them new life, and I like the move. Joe Johnson decided to choose a more meaningful role over the chance at winning a title by riding LeBron's wave. I won't knock any man for not riding the next man's wave.